Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight.
Preacher man, don't tell me heaven is under the earth. I know you don't know what life is really worth.
I am here to fight and making sure we live environment that is livable, that our children's future has an environment that they can live and be protecting our environment. So as we move forward as a community, I want to invite you that we not only organize on the streets, but we are also organizing in this city hall. We are organizing in Salem. We are making sure that we are protecting our immigrant and refugee community members. We want to make sure that we defeat ballot initiatives like IP22. We want to make sure that we tell them we are a sanctuary city. We are a sanctuary state. We will make sure our community are protected regardless of where they come from. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Casey Jama.
So let's start first with solidarity with our indigenous communities by recognizing that we are on stolen lands, and this struggle has started 500 years ago and is still going.
Yes.
My name is Gisela Rodriguez. I am from Bolivia. I am also a member of the Internationally Socialist Organization. I am a grad student at PSU, and I'm also a member of the Graduate Employees Union, GEU. And I am here today with all of you to stand together against hate, to stand against all the racist, fascist, white nationalist groups that the Trump administration has happily emboldened. But let's make no mistake, Trump and his fascist and racist allies are not the root cause of this problem. They are the symptoms of a system in decay. The capitalist system is in crisis, and it must therefore resort to the only way it can work, and that is violence. Because capitalism is a system of violence, a system that relies on the most brutal exploitation of the workers, a system that must pit worker against worker because it has no other option. That's why racism is not a byproduct of capitalism, it is its core, it is how capitalism works. Therefore, we know that the Patriot Prayer Rally is not about freedom of speech, it's not about American values, it is about hate, and it is about scapegoating the most vulnerable communities. But it is also about fear, because they are afraid of us, of each one of you. When we come together and when we stand in solidarity, they are afraid. They are afraid when we question the root causes of racism and bigotry. They know that the day of the presidential inauguration, millions of us participated in the Women's March, and they know that overnight we organized march rallies against the Muslim ban. They know that we have the real power to dismantle this system. And it is true, we have the power of collective action because ours is a system based on solidarity, because we are here for all immigrants, we are here for the Muslim community, for the Black community, for the indigenous community, for the LGBTQ community. We are here for the kid that committed a crime, for the single mother that has to work 2 jobs to support her family, and we are here for the father who cannot support his family because he is in prison. We are here for all the working class, and we are here because an injury to one is an injury to all. And in the words of Eugene Pidet, while there is a lower class, I am in it. While there is a criminal element, I am of it. While there is a soul in prison, I am not free, because we are in the long fight, because this is not just about a fight about just immigrants or the most vulnerable communities. It is about each one of you. It is about me. It is about you. It is about our humanity, because my liberation is bound to your liberation, and we will win.
No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA.
When I think of courage, I think of all of the dreamers out here in America today that don't just live, but teach us how to live. That don't just act with courage, but create. That's what we are standing to defend today. We are standing to defend those of us who are creative. I also want to talk about another creative body, which is the Muslim American community here in the United States today. We're coming up on 9/11, and as I walk outside of this rally, I see DHS all over the place, and it gets me a little bit worried. Worried because the JTTF is still active here in Portland. Worried because our community is still being surveilled. Worried because we're under increased marginalization. And also worried because many of the hate crimes that have been happening have been affecting the Muslim community. But when I see all of you, I also see courage. I also see inspiration. I also see my reason for coming out to these rallies and speaking. So I have a couple of favors to ask of you. The first favor is within your communities, if you see people that are out there with their racist views, that if they're willing to engage in a conversation with you, talk to them about Islam, talk to them about Muslims. If you can't do that, call me. If you don't have a Muslim friend, seriously, come up to me. I'm wearing a Cal State LA hat. Come up to me and I will be your friend, your Muslim friend, to inform you. Okay? I expect my friends list to be 1,000 by the end of the day. Okay? The other thing that I want to ask of you is that if you honestly don't know the answers to when questions are asked, if you connect with organizations out here that have the answers, and then we can all become a better country. There's way too much misinformation out there, and we have to be willing to ask questions and build alliances with other groups of people. The last thing that I want to say is that those dreamers back in California really inspired me because they were willing to stand up to Janet Napolitano when she became UC president. And because they had that bravery, because they were willing to get arrested and potentially deported, a lot of the UC system had to change their policies. Underway already in the city of Portland, we're advocating for significant changes to hate crimes. We're also advocating on the state level for hate crime reform. What I need for you to do is one crucial step. You need to email the governor of the state and say, make hate crime reform a priority. Until she gets enough emails, it's not going to be a platform that she gets in front of a bunch of people and talks about and pushes actual laws forward. So please send those emails, communicate with your local representatives. Initiatives are coming forward at the start of October.
When I was at Ocheki Shakowi at Standing Rock, my voice from Portland, Oregon, a local community member who lives here, breathes here, pays taxes here, who loves to be an Oregonian, my voice, they attempted to silence me. They surveillanced me to the point where both of my bank accounts were frozen. There was drones that were following me. My phone was tapped, and it still is. And my Facebook continued to be scrambled anytime I sent out a mass message. So no, your individual voice can and will make a difference. And it takes a whole team of surveillance to try to silence one person. So all of our voices put together will make a difference. Our next speaker is Deborah Kolodny, Rabbi Deborah Kolodny. And I want to greet her with love and intention because I met this person and they greeted me before I went back. 2 weeks ago, I went back to Ocheki Shakowi and they came and they offered beauty and medicine, and we need to continue doing that for each other. We need to continue saying, I love you, even though you're strangers, because that is our most powerfulest weapon.
The words of my ancestors. Holy source of all creation, you are my song and you are my strength and you will be my salvation. Whether you hold to an omniscient, omnipotent, universal being or not,
What is true, what the scientists have proven, is that every molecule has sentience, has consciousness, and that connects us all. The interconnectivity of the universe will be our song and our strength and our salvation. So I want to say a few things about the folks that we're here to say no to. And then I want to talk a little bit about the future. Patriot prayer does not get to define what patriotism is. And they surely have no idea what prayer is. Because prayer is about lifting up the beauty and potential of all of creation and bringing down beloved community into this realm, as we are doing here today. When I saw Candy a couple weeks ago, I said, we have to learn from you. We have to do ceremony. We have to lead with ceremony and ritual and prayer. We have to. So I thank you for being here today. So many of us are here because we have in our epigenetic code the experience of genocide. The Native peoples, the African American peoples, the Jewish peoples. It is time to say never again. As a Jew, the most pressing problems are white supremacy, Islamophobia, the prison industrial complex that has decimated the African American population through discriminatory and horrific profiling practices, the desecration of native lands, and the lack of reparations for indigenous peoples, for African Americans, and the lack of security for every immigrant, documented or not, in this country. This gentleman said, what about Palestine? And I agree with that too. I agree with that too. It's about Mother Earth making herself known. And I want to add to that, and I want to say we're in the birth pangs of a new day. We are birthing a new day. In the Jewish tradition, there is a midrash, there is a story that says that when our Messiah comes, when Mashiach times comes, the sun and the moon will have equal power and men and women will be equal. And on August 21st, many of us got to witness what I am calling a collective theophany, a collective experience of the presence of God as the sun and moon became equal in size. Now I know it's happened before, but it's happened only a couple of times in the United States history when that experience of the total solar eclipse banded the entire country. So I am choosing to take these natural disasters as the birth pangs of a new era. Not when one person will come to save us, but when all of our consciousnesses will be elevated to the point where we know that there is no humanity without beautiful and bountiful and glorious welcome and celebration and inclusion.